All right. All right, we're going to get this show started. How do I sound? Do I sound a little congested? A little congested. Hey, it is so good to have everybody here today. As you Touchdown Club members who have been around a long time know, this is one of our favorite meetings of the year because we get to honor some of the most outstanding young men and women in this state here on this stage. So it's going to be so exciting as we honor our Ken Hatfield Sportsmanship Award winners from each school here in Little Rock and get a chance to hear Jordan Rodgers a little bit later. Shocker, it seems that the number of women here is higher than normal today. That's fine. I have no problem with that. I have no problem. Even Simmons Bank, we have 2 women at the head table, women executives. They told George Mackers, George, you were staying home today. We've got the head stage. It's been such a great year. This is the 14th straight week of meetings. Couldn't do it without you. We'd had one more meeting with David Pollock, but I explained that there were some contractual issues with him and ESPN. We could not do that, so we're going to wrap up here. We're going to end on a great note with our honorees, with these outstanding young men and women, with the Ken Hatfield Sportsmanship Award, and of course Jordan Rodgers, who really, when you hear him, just like with Greg McElroy, was everybody blown away with Greg McElroy? You will be blown away with Jordan Rodgers here today too, and his ability to break down football. He'll talk about the Razorbacks. He's got a great story. If you think about it, last week, did you enjoy Barry Switzer, Freddie Marshall, and Ken Hatfield? Let's hear for them. My goodness. Barry would still be talking if I had not cut him off. So think about this year: Sam Pittman, Brett Favre, Ray Lewis, Eric Dickerson, Hunter Yurachek, Jimbo Fisher, Greg McElroy, Dan Mullen, Nathan Brown, DJ Williams, Joe Adams, Jarius Wright, Butch Jones, Colt McCoy, Freddie Marshall, Ken Hatfield, and Barry Switzer, and of course Jordan Rodgers. That is a heck of a year. Nobody's doing that around the country like we are. So thank you for being here today, and thank you for being here all year. We do have to give we have to give away the pop-up thanks to Rockstar Passes. This may be the most bid on a poster that we've had this year. I will be shocked if there's a man who stands up and say he's won this award, but that's okay. The number is 973-459. No, you stop it. You stop it. You stop it. 973-459. Did you get it? Oh my gosh, you did get it. Congratulations. You want me to draw a heart? Big E over there, long-time listener, great supporter of the Touchdown Club. He's awesome. Love him. No pigskin preacher today. He's at a conference. So Randy Allison, who is the minister of music at Pinnacle Church of the Cross, he may not be that title, but I'll give him that. Randy, will you come up and lead us in a word of prayer?
I really sell insurance for a living, but anyway. Let's pray. Father, thank you for this wonderful day of life, for this time we have to spend together, for all these students here that represent their schools so well. Thank you for their goals, their achievements in life, for their coaches, for their parents. Bless their lives. Today, Father, is 15 weeks, and it's kind of sad that this is the last Touchdown Club of the year. And we thank you for David and for the speakers we've had and for the volunteers that make this place so welcoming every week, and certainly the sponsors. If it's your will, Father, and we get back together next year, we pray that you'll give David, bless him with people that we would like to see and speak to, and make his life easier to get him here too, Father. But help him as he works on next year, if it's your will. Thank you for Jordan, the influence he has in people's lives, for his family. We pray that you'll bless him. Thank you for his safety here, and that he'll be safe going home. With today being our last meeting of the year, it is sad, and the way life is, many of us will not have the opportunity to see each other again this year. So we pray that you'll bless us with health and happiness in life. So until the next time, Lord, listen to your children praying. Lord, send your spirit in this place, oh Lord. Listen to your children praying. Send us love, send us power, send us grace. Amen.
All right. Show off. I'm going to tell Chuck you showed him up. Basil said if you want to have me next year, I'll sing during the prayer every time. But Jordan, one thing that Randy brought up, this is a community. You know, one thing about, you know, there's a lot of touchdown clubs, as we talked about last night, all over the country, but that there's something when you come here, you feel an energy, you feel a connection in the community, and that's what's special, and Randy alluded to that. Earl Hammonds just texted me and said he would be willing to put up the Jordan Rodgers pop-up for the right price. Anybody's willing to bid. He's no dummy. He's a good businessman. So if you will, you'll mute your phones. You can watch online at myarkansaspbs.org, lrtouchdown.com, YouTube page, Facebook, all those things. Our sponsors, Jordan, we got the best sponsors in the country. Normally we have a lot of time to go through and thank a lot of them. Because we're so pressed for time, I'm just going to thank them real quick. Nina Castaldi and Sheena Elam here for Simmons Bank, best presenting sponsor there is in America, nobody better. Thank you so much. Stevens Inc., Warren Stevens, Curtis Jeffries, Warren Simpson, Oaklawn, Hot Springs, Wayne Smith, Zach Gillum is here today. Chris Ho could not do it without all those three great sponsors. Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings, Judy Henry, Charlie, Antoine, everybody, thank you so much for supporting the Touchdown Club. We still have to do the Cliff Harris Award coming up. There we go. It's coming, but thank you, Judy, for your support. Crane Automotive, I noticed we have all women here from Crane Automotive. Christian Crane and the boys have given up their tickets. We appreciate Christian and Chris Crane and all the folks, Drew Dees at Crane Automotive. Sixties Log Cabin, Bill and Sherry Jones, been around 54 years. Thank you for supporting the Touchdown Club. Double B, Steve Lytle and Ed Light, thank you so much, Steve and Ed. Summerwood Sports, the Hendricks family, you've been a rock for the Touchdown Club, and we appreciate you so much. Thank y'all for believing in Junior too, believing in what we do. Roller Funeral Homes, Renata Jenkins Byler, you've been with us since going all the way back to the beginning. Thank you so much. Advantage Service Company, Kevin Brooks, thank you so much, Kevin, for your support of the club. Thank you, Kevin. Arkansas Democrat Gazette, Amanda Copley, thank you, Amanda, so much for your support. You've been Democrat Gazette has been with us 20 years. You and Wally, thank you so much. The Hatcher Agency, Greg Hatcher, thanks so much, Greg. I don't know if you're here today, but for stepping up and making a difference for our club every year. And, Popeye for picking up all of our speakers for 14 straight weeks. We couldn't do it without the Hatcher Agency and Twin City Limo. Simmons Bank Arena, Michael Mary and Jenna DeGeorge, thank you so much. I love those folks. Pulaski County Farm Bureau, Todd Dennis and Stephen Reichard. War Memorial Stadium, John Latch, Mark Pike, Kevin Krass, thank you so much. Arkansas Urology, Chris Chinnup, thanks for believing in what this club can do for Arkansas Urology and getting men to go get tested. Thank you so much. And 103.7 The Buzz, Terry Mahan, our CEO, that's where I do my radio show, and Justin, our GM, and Roger Scott, my right-hand man every morning on The Buzz. Been doing this a long time, 20 years, and couldn't do it without the support of The Buzz. So AY Media, AY Magazine, Arkansas Money and Politics, Heather Baker, thank you. Arkansas PBS back in the back gang. It's been a great ride. I don't know who's more exhausted at the end of this 14-week run, you guys or me, but you guys are the best. Tanisha, everybody, appreciate you guys. Courtney, Anita, Brian, Kevin, you guys are the best. DoubleTree Hotel, nobody's better in the country. Lakia, Anita, Angel, and Tiffany. And last but not least, JF Media Marketing. Alicia, thanks so much for doing a great job with our social media. The best sponsors in America. Let's give them a round of applause, if you will. They are outstanding. Of course, thank you to our Touchdown Club team, Dwayne Duncan, Chris Kane, RJ Hawk, Wes Sutton. Couldn't do it without you, buddy. Thanks so much for doing 1,000 pictures every week. And Debbie Wyman and all the ladies and guys who do this for free. If you don't mind, everybody who's a volunteer in here for the last week, let's stand up and let's give these folks all a big round of applause. They do it every week. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Hope. Thank you, everybody. Touchdown Club could not work without y'all, and Debbie does a great job of of helping with all this staff and do it. Nobody does it better than us, and I'm proud to say that. All right, at this point, R.J. Hulk, this is our last All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week. Will you come up and introduce our Player of the Week?
Thank you, David. It's kind of crazy to think that we're already in the playoffs for high school football. It seems like yesterday we just started the Touchdown Club and the high school regular season, but we're ending on a good note because our Player of the Week this week comes to us from Bryan, Arkansas. The Hornets, the last week of the regular season, played probably one of the best matchups in the state, or what we thought was going to be one of the best matchups in the state when they played Conway. Kamari Austin from Bryan is a wide receiver, and in that game against Conway, he had 6 catches for 161 yards and 4 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, and he just did that. I asked him, I said, so, yes, round of applause. So I asked him a minute ago, I said, so what are your numbers for the season? Because I'm thinking you had 161 in one game. He's going to have some just eye-shattering numbers. He said, well, I've had 29 receptions for 584 yards and 15 touchdowns on the season. I said, so you went into that game with just a little over 300 yards receiving, and then you were able to get 161 against Conway, against one of the biggest games of the year. And he said, yes, sir. And he said, we're ready to do it in the playoffs as well. So his dad Aaron's here, as well as his head coach Quad Sanders. Your All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week is Kamari Austin from Bryan.
All right. Thanks, Amanda, again, for all your work at the Democrat Gazette and Wally and the support there. We've had some great high school players honored. We're getting ready to honor some great ones here behind us. So Rex, nobody does, and we can recap like Rex Nelson. So I told Rex today, because we've got so many people we need to honor, Rex is going to condense it. He's going to condense it to 2. They don't believe it. They don't believe it. I said, you got 2 games Rex is going to focus on. Texas, Arkansas, not much time on that. He's also going to talk about the Battle of the Ring. But for all his work and effort, let's give a big round of applause this year for Rex Nelson, everybody.
Thanks, David. Last time for 2024. That's right. I'm going to miss this. This really is a family, and so happy to see so many of you that I consider family that we won't see again till our next meeting every year. 20, Arkansas 10, a really good defensive effort by the Hogs. And I've got to say this, even though it wasn't a win, isn't it nice, especially for those of us who grew up during the Southwest Conference era, to see this rivalry back as a conference rivalry again? It's going to get a lot better in the years ahead. Texas does move to 9-1 overall, 5-1 in the SEC. First time they had beat Arkansas since 2008. Hogs fall to 5-5, 3-4 in the SEC. Arkansas, of course, needs to take care of business this week against Louisiana Tech and get bowl eligible, so you'll have somewhere to go for a bowl game. Now, talk about the defense playing well. Consider that 694 yards 2 weeks ago against Ole Miss. They bounced back and only allowed the Longhorns 315 yards. That was their second lowest total of the season so far. Only second to Georgia. So a really good defensive effort. Texas does win its 10th consecutive road games, all 10 of those with Quinn Ewers at quarterback. He was 20 of 32 passing, 176 yards and 2 touchdowns. So Texas goes to 57-23 all-time against Arkansas. They're 18-4 through the years in games played at Fayetteville. And Arkansas falls to 1-5 against teams who were ranked this season when they played them. All right, moving on. ASU is bowl eligible. Congratulations to Arkansas State. 27. Georgia State. Their quarterback, Jalen Rayner, had a really good game. He rushed for 114 yards, passed for another 97 yards. ASU is 6-4 overall now, 4-2 in the Sun Belt. Their last 2 games are both in Jonesboro, and very winnable, frankly. So this could be an 8-win team for Arkansas State going into the bowl game. Georgia State falls to 2-8 and 0-6 in the conference. UAPB drops to 3-8, 2-5 in conference with one game to go. A 31-9 loss to Southern University in Baton Rouge on Saturday. UCA unfortunately loses its third consecutive game, falling 38-31 to Southern Utah. The Bears lost at home for the first time this year while using a walk-on redshirt quarterback. That's what they're down to at quarterback, Caleb Koger. UCA now 6-5 overall. They are 3-4 in conference. Take your Ohio State, Michigan. Take your Alabama, Auburn. David, take all of those. In the greatest college football rivalry in America, Ouachita wins the Battle of the Ravine, 27-20. That got ESPN game day time. They even showed a drone shot to show how close the two stadiums are on Saturday morning, so thanks for that. Meanwhile, Harding beats Arkansas Tech 57-27. So Ouachita and Harding both finished the regular season 10-1. They're both in the top 10. They share the conference championship, and they're both on their way to the playoffs. So congratulations to both. Good luck to the defending national champions from Harding and to Ouachita. As far as that Battle of the Ravine, get this. I've told you should go. If you haven't yet, you got to put it on your bucket list for next year. 8 of the last 9 Battles of the Ravine have been decided by 7 points or less. Uncanny how it's every year, 7 points or less. Ouachita now leads the overall series 47-44. There have been 6 ties through the years. SAU, they finished 9-2, didn't get in the playoffs, but a great season, a 54-22 victory over UAM. So we had a great year in Division II football in our state. Get this, we've got 4 teams from Arkansas with 8 or more victories in the regular season. Henderson finishes 8-3, SAU finishes 9-2, Ouachita and Harding finish the regular season 10-1. As I told you, Arkansas Tech is 5-6, UAM is 4-7. Now, this week, we've, of course, got Louisiana Tech at Arkansas, 3 o'clock in Fayetteville to get bowl eligible. Can't blow this opportunity. We've got Louisiana Monroe at Jonesboro against Arkansas State, 2 o'clock kickoff for that one. We've got Texas Southern. So for the last time this season, David, we've got games at Fayetteville, Jonesboro, and Pine Bluff. No excuses. Get out and see a college football game on Saturday. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Rex. Thanks for the great job all year. Thank you. All right, it's time to meet our Ken Hatfield Sportsmanship Award winners from every school here in Little Rock. This is the 3rd year that we've honored the award for Kenny Hatfield, my old coach, one of the greatest players, one of the greatest figures in Razorback history. All-American punt returner, led us to a national championship in 1964. You saw him last week. Led us back to the Cotton Bowl as a coach. Nobody handles himself with more class, more sincerity than Ken Hatfield. So we thought it was appropriate after James Street so many years to honor Ken Hatfield. And this award is about players on each team. And Merritt, the one thing about Merritt doesn't care about recognition. I had to force him to sit up here. He doesn't like that. But whether it be what happened with the golf tournament, PV, UALR, whatever, Merritt, you're always wanting to give back. I appreciate you, buddy. You're doing it for the right reasons, and you'll see why here in just a minute. But thank you, Merritt, for your support of this amazing award. So what we're going to do, I know I was telling Jordan Rodgers, I know we have a lot of coaches that are here of all these student athletes. So if you're a coach or an assistant coach, either one, if you're a staff on any of these teams where we've got an honoree, please stand and let's give them a round of applause for all the coaches taking time to be here today. I know we got a lot of parents and families here too, and then afterwards we'll get pictures up on the head stage. And again, Jordan, we've had Terry Bradshaw and Brett Favre this year and Ray Lewis, but I'm going to tell you, they by no means surpass what these young men and ladies are and what they represent. That's what I love about this. So without further ado, what we're going to do, in years past I've said let's hold your applause. Not going to do this year. With Arkansas PBS back there, every time a student athlete is recognized from each school, let's give them a round of applause. They'll sit down. I'm going to come up and I'm going to read just a few minutes of some of the accolades that their coaches have given all them. So, Anita, if you will, let's go ahead and let's recognize our 2024 Ken Hatfield Outstanding Sportsmanship Award winners.
It's now time to honor our 2024 Ken Hatfield Sportsmanship Award honorees. Our first honoree comes to us from Little Rock Catholic. Please welcome Noel Lewis. It's now time to honor our 2024 Ken Hatfield Sportsmanship Award honorees. Our first honoree comes to us from Little Rock Catholic. Please welcome Noel Lewis. Our next honoree is from Little Rock Central. Please welcome John David Bear. Coming to us from Little Rock Hall, please welcome our next honoree, Corday Atkins. Up next from Little Rock Parkview, please welcome our next honoree, Marcarius Hill. Coming to us from Little Rock Southwest, please welcome our next honoree, Zion Brooks. Our next honoree is from Joe T. Robinson. Please welcome Caroline Whitman. Our next honoree comes to us from Mills University Studies. Please welcome Zion Smith. From Baptist Prep, please welcome our next honoree, Carter Odell. Coming to us from Episcopal Collegiate, please welcome our next honoree, Jackson Rowell. From Little Rock Christian Academy, please welcome our next honoree, Garland Davis. Our next honoree is coming to us from Pulaski Academy. Please welcome Walden Culpepper. And finally, coming to us from Southwest Christian Academy, our next honoree is Dominique Ferguson. One more applause for our 2024 Ken Hatfield Sportsmanship Award honorees.
So one of the things we do each year, we do two things. We give a check, obviously thanks to merit. We give a nice plaque like this to each honoree, and we'll give a check for $200. They can decide what they want to do with the $200. Keep it away from their brothers and sisters and parents if you want to. Do what you want to. Unless I slip. But this is just, I want you to hear what these head coaches and assistant coaches have submitted about these young folks. And they may pick up on who they are when I hear what I'm saying, and maybe they won't. But the main thing, this is a collective group. There's not a, we used to do a winner. We said, we're not doing winners anymore. They're all winners. I mean, how do you separate greats, great individuals who do all the things right? All right, so bear with me for a couple minutes. I'm just going to read this to you and without mentioning their names. Do this. Exemplifies the true meaning of sportsmanship both on and off the field, has earned the respect and admiration of his teammates and coaches over the years through his positive attitude, humility, and unwavering support for everything going on in our school, has definitely become a leader who is willing to put the team's success above any personal accolades. His selflessness and genuine care for the well-being of others make him an invaluable asset to the team. Has displayed an extraordinary level of grit and determination, playing through injuries in multiple sports, literally carried the team on his back this entire season, but hardly says a word while doing it. Humble and tough, work ethic and commitment to improving both as a player and person have been evident in every practice and game. Even in the face of adversity, never backs down, and his tenacity has set the standard for his teammates. Known for his remarkable sportsmanship and dedication on both on the field and on the field, off the field and on the field, has demonstrated a deep respect for the game, his teammates, and his coaches, always prioritizing teamwork over personal success. His positive attitude and unwavering encouragement make him a role model among peers, inspiring younger players to give their best each day. Consistently extends his sportsmanship to his opponents, win or lose, always the first to shake hands, congratulate, show genuine respect for the efforts of the other team. His legacy, now again, these are coaches that are saying this, his legacy of respect and camaraderie will undoubtedly be remembered long after his final season. Yes, a very good football player who will play on Saturdays, but what sets him apart from others is his character. There have been some tough moments this fall, but he's a rock. He's the first to practice and last to leave. He's the first to help clean up the locker room and the first to help a teammate. When the transfer portal opened, he could have gone to other schools, but he stayed. Loyalty and character are becoming hard to find, but he has it. If you were to start a program today, you would do it with quality people like him. This next honoree embodies the essence of resilience and leadership. As a leader on our team, he sets the tone both in performance and dedication, inspiring teammates with his work ethic and unwavering commitment. His leadership isn't just limited to the field. He is known for putting the same tireless effort into his academics, balancing the challenges of school with the demanding challenges of athletics. He's earned the trust of both coaches and teammates coming from an economically challenged background. He channels the adversity that he has faced as fuel to drive him further in every aspect of his life. This motivation pushes him to never quit, tackling every challenge head-on with determination and grit. His story is one of perseverance, illustrating that dedication and hard work can overcome obstacles, inspire others, and lead to lasting success both on the field and off. This honoree never misses a practice, always looking to get better, never complains. Whatever we ask him to do, he does it. Whether it's picking up trash, getting water, getting equipment, and putting it back on the trailer, he does it. He may not get much playing time, he never complains. He's one of our biggest vocal supporters. He's done all this while still maintaining a straight-A report card. He's an amazing young man. Looking forward to him doing great things for our program in the future. The next honoree showed up in my office 3 years ago and asked about helping out our program as a manager. In 3 years, our honoree means much more to our program than just a manager. Works close with our athletic trainer, with our other student trainers, in charge of our group of athletes who signal and plays on game nights, always stays late after games to put away equipment, uniforms, and clean up our facility, takes great pride in our program, conducts themselves in a first-class manner, responsible, dedicated, and valuable to the success of our football program. We will greatly miss this honoree when she graduates this year, and grateful for the positive impact she's had within our program. Sorry, had to cheat on that since she's the first. Very honored to endorse a smart, creative, and outspoken individual and deserving in many ways. He exceeds all the requirements and expectations for this award. Personality, intelligence, and love for others create a welcoming environment. His characteristics are similar to Coach Hatfield's. He follows no one, isn't swayed by popular demands or popularity. Although his physical talents and size are big in stature, his unique characteristics are undeniable. Behavior and infectious humor. His play on the field is fearless with perfect mixture of sportsmanship, always notices the good qualities in others, and is always interested in others' success and future endeavors. Last few. He's a great player, but far beyond that, he's one of the best kids I've ever coached. His work ethic, leadership ability, and development from year to year is proof to the amount of work he puts in. The thing I love most about him is that I could walk down the hall to all of his teachers, and they would tell me he is one of their best students. True definition of a student athlete. He will be successful at whatever he puts his mind to. Our next honoree has been a 3-year starter, but his actions on the field and in the classroom have made him stand out. He embodies the well done is better than well said attitude. Typically the first athlete in the door, last to leave. Often staying behind to make sure our locker room is clean and spend time in fellowship with his teammates. On the field, he's always a beacon of positivity to his teammates and is a pivotal part of our offensive and defensive line. In the classroom, he constantly seeks ways to improve, and his instructors all hold him in high regard as he finds a way to connect with his classmates. Next honoree, outstanding sportsmanship, unwavering commitment, and selfless attitude, both on the field and off. While he's a key player for our team, his impact extends far beyond stats or accolades. He's a leader who consistently demonstrates respect and kindness towards teammates, coaches, and opponents alike. Shows up every day with a positive attitude, strong work ethic, and a willingness to support others. First to help others who are struggling. Last to complain when faced with challenges. His commitment to the team is evident in his consistent presence and dedication, regardless of the spotlight or recognition. Last two. Exemplifies the values of this award, represents what this award represents, standing out as a young man of remarkable character and integrity. He consistently excels in the classroom, a true encourager, a positive presence for his teammates, fostering unity and resilience within the team. His dedication goes beyond words. He's known as the hardest worker on the field, always giving his best effort, pushing through challenges and leading by example in both attitude and performance. His commitment to excellence both on and off the field makes him an ideal choice for this honor, reflecting the qualities that Coach Hatfield championed. And our last honoree was one of the top players on our team coming back this year, but he went down with a broken collarbone in the second game of the season. While he was out, he never complained. He was very encouraging. He was coaching other players by critiquing their craft. He helped with the small things. He did whatever that was asked of him. This past spring, he lost his father. And with that void, he never complained and never showed a ton of emotions. This is the head coach that's submitting this. I really feel like he wanted to dedicate his senior season to his father by the way he approached his last year, but his injury was a setback. He's not the type of kid who brings attention to himself, but his teammates say they love him, funny off the field, and they truly love being around him. There's no doubt in my mind that he's a true servant, and we love having him on our football team. How about all these amazing student athletes? Let's give her a sound. Thank you, coaches who submitted all those. I know it takes time. Some of you are in playoffs, some of you are not, but to submit those things, listen, that's the future of our country and our state, and these are outstanding young men and women, and glad to have them there. Thank you to my coach, Ken Hatfield, for the example he showed. Merritt Dyke, thank you so much for supporting what is a neat deal. And afterwards, you'll come up, you can take pictures on stage with your kids and Jordan or whoever you want, whatever you want to do. Speaking of Jordan, this guy is really, when you hear him, you're going to realize why he is one of the guys who's really climbing fast in the world of broadcast television. He's very sharp. He's not just a good-looking guy. He's not just that. Listen, he knows football. He's got an amazing story of where he came from and how he got there. So, Steve Sullivan, will you introduce us to our guest speaker, Jordan Rodgers?
This is Jordan Rodgers at SEC Media Days back in 2012. He sounded broadcast ready then.
Pushing our vision and pushing what we're going to be to try to get people excited, to fill our stands.
Rodgers keeps it. Touchdown, Vanderbilt.
Jordan had a nice run as Vandy's quarterback. He became the first Commodore quarterback to lead Vandy to back-to-back bowl appearances and a 9-4 record. He finished his career with 4,063 yards passing and 24 touchdowns, and that was in just 2 seasons. Jordan gave pro ball a shot, spending time with 3 NFL teams. His professional life, though, changed on August 2nd, 2016, when he was hired by ESPN.
Despite the score that was on the board, I think it was important that he experienced a game of adversity.
Please welcome one of the rising stars in the sports broadcasting business and one of the Bachelorette's biggest success stories, Jordan Rodgers.
Well, I'm glad my hair is not quite as tall as it used to be. None of y'all told me back then it looked bad.
I don't think there's anybody in here that's going to
I'm glad on the poster right over there that you won that they cut off half of it because it goes up another 4 or 5 inches.
I'll let you in on a secret. There's nobody in here that's going to tell you your hair looks bad. I can promise you that. Hey, thanks so much for being here. I know you don't do a lot of these. You said that you're so busy, your schedule just in that and being married with JoJo. And so we're really honored to have you here.
Yeah, appreciate it. Also, to all you up here, I was thinking, as all those accolades or all the really character descriptions were so eloquently put together by your coaches, I was thinking there was no stats in there was no wins and losses, and I started to think who you are is going to take you so much further than what you do. And every door that you want to be opened, whether it's in business, in sports, whatever it is, how you treat people and the character you have in adversity, like that is going to take you guys wherever you want to go. So remember that, because I wouldn't be sitting up here if it wasn't for how I treated some low-level radio guys in Nashville. I was always good to them, whether we were terrible or whether we were good. And when I got done with my playing career, the first thing I did was call one of them and go, hey, if you ever need somebody to just come on for 2 or 3 minutes to talk about football, I'd love an opportunity. And if I had been a jerk to him, he probably said, yeah, no, not answered the phone call, right? But I got a couple opportunities to just talk about Vandy once or twice. And then it was, hey, you want to fill in for 15 minutes? Hey, we got an hour where one of our hosts is out. Do you want to do that? And so just by how you treat people, the doors are going to open for you guys. So the fact that you're sitting up here, you guys are already doing it right. So it's fun to hear all those things that had nothing to do with how good you are on the field.
That's right. By the way, can somebody hit those doors, close those doors for me? I can hear Justin DJ a little bit more than normal today. Yeah, I don't know why. Sorry. That's something. It's not about, how about too? I think multiple times I kept reading, they would come back and clean up the locker room. Did you ever clean up a locker room? God bless them. That's impressive.
I don't know if I did, actually. I probably should have.
Listen, that is impressive that coaches recognize that, to see that a player may be good enough, but he's going to go back and clean up and help out. And
goes back to how you treat people, how you handle situations. So.
Yeah, and so for those that, first of all, let's do this. So you were the SEC Network. You called South Carolina and Missouri, an unbelievable game Saturday night. Oh, my gosh, you've had 2 amazing games. Jordan's with the SEC Network, as Sully said, and you've been, we'll show your crew here in a minute, but you've been to Arkansas a few times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the most recent, right, 2021?
I think so, yeah. I think it's been a couple years.
You remember when Feinbaum threw the Texas helmet down and got fined by, or Texas wanted their $300 for their helmet because, but you were there.
I picked Arkansas that day.
You
threw
did.
a pig's hat on.
You did? Yes. And so you've been to Arkansas a few times, so you got a chance to go back and look at the Texas game. So what are your thoughts of what happened in Fayetteville Saturday?
So much of me loves watching this Arkansas team. I think the inconsistencies in who they are on both sides of the ball is what shows up throughout the season. But I thought against Texas, they did a great job of limiting explosive plays. I mean, they made it really tough on Quinn, and I've been as high as anybody on how good he is and how good Sark is and how good that offense is. Outside of the pump and go for the touchdown, I think there were only 2 other really explosive plays in that game. When I watched the offense, we were talking about it last night, like I love so much of what they're doing. I feel like when I watch them, though, they're a little disconnected. And they run the football so well, they don't play action pass. Their passing game doesn't quite match up with their run game in the way that I'd love to see a little bit more of. But when you have a young, talented quarterback, sometimes you're helping them develop as a passer, and the easiest way to do that is to spread it out. So sometimes it does look a little different than your run game. But I thought they were really close, and one overthrow late in the game, and maybe it's 2017 with 6 or 7 minutes left, and it's a really good Texas team. So as just a fan of football, I was excited to see how they fought and how they played against a really good Texas team.
So we've had Greg McElroy, who does a good job, obviously, as a color man, as you do. So what's your perception of the Arkansas program? What's the perception of Sam Pittman and where this program is going? You look at what's happening at Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin, and where's Arkansas in your opinion?
I think they have an elite culture, which I think you have to have that to build off first. So when you play Arkansas, it's going to be a dogfight. You're in a fist fight in a back alley. That's the kind of team you want to be. And when you have that kind of culture, now you can start to plug in elite players from the portal or elite recruits. And when they fall in line with that culture, that's when you get an elite program as a whole. So we're in a day and age that you're going to have to go and get 1 or 2 people in the portal that'll be the difference. We saw Ole Miss do it. We've seen Ole Miss do it the last couple of years. But Arkansas is a team that I think is really close. And I think if we were all sitting here to start the season, you said, hey, they're going to be 7-5 with a chance to get to 8 wins in a bowl game. You look at that schedule and go, it's not bad. right? But I think we've seen the highs and lows that
Right,
we just
sure,
realize
sure.
there's so much more potential and a couple close losses away from knocking on the door of being a 9 or 10 win season.
You've been in the middle of all this NIL and transfer portal. I mean, it's been your job for the last 8 years to define this. I mean, you've seen a transformation. So can a team like Arkansas, I mean, Ole Miss did it, but is it expected that, I mean, not every team is going to be able to generate this revenue. How does a team make it? How does a program make it these days?
Well, I mean, to that point, yeah, not everyone can go do what Ole Miss did. And I don't know if you really want to, because what are they going to be next year? We're going to see a lot of those guys go away, go to the NFL, and they're going to have to try to reload, and you almost get in a little bit of a rat race doing that. And that's why I mentioned culture, because I think when you have the right culture and you have the right humans in a locker room, you can plug in 1 or 2 pieces as opposed to 10 or 15, and that can make a big difference. So they're going to have to continue to make 1 or 2 splashes a year in the transfer portal, but I think the way they recruit, the size that they recruit, the culture that they have, they can build and sustain success on that versus an Ole Miss that the way they do it, you're going to have years that you hit and you're going to have years that we missed on a lot of those guys.
Who's the best team that you've seen, obviously, in the SEC? What do you think if you had to evaluate top 2 or 3? What's your opinion?
I not to make this an Ole Miss party, because it's not, but I was talking to DJ about it earlier. I think Ole Miss, I know who they are on both sides of the ball most consistently. I know who they are on defense. They're elite up front. They play physical press man covers on the outside. They make it tough on you, and that offense is explosive. No matter if Henry Parrish is out or Trey Harris is out, I mean, they got 3 or 4 guys on the outside that can make plays. So I'm most confident in who they are on both sides of the ball. I'd probably then say Georgia, because I think when Georgia plays like we saw last week against Tennessee, I think they're the best in the country. Problem is, I'm not as confident in who we're going to get on offense week in and week out with the way Carson Beck's been playing, and really I think the lack of maybe playmakers they have around him as well. So I believe in that defense, but I still have question marks about the offense. So I'd go Ole Miss and then probably Georgia, and then I don't know. I think it's wide open after that. I think you throw Alabama in there in the mix the way they're getting better as the season's gone on.
So Jordan has a pretty unique story for all you student athletes back here. Not one scholarship offer. Neither was your brother, Aaron Rodgers, who's won 3 or 4 NFL MVPs. Both of you didn't receive one scholarship offer. So you both go to Butte Junior College in California. Pretty remarkable. It was maybe, you think, because of your size?
Yeah, we were late bloomers. I mean, I was taking pictures with all you guys. I'm like, man, these are some big high school kids. I mean, I was let's see, my senior year, I didn't play a snap my junior year. Didn't play at all. My senior year in high school, I was maybe 5'10", maybe $150 soaking wet. So colleges weren't knocking down the doors for a not very athletic quarterback that was about $150. But I knew I had to develop, and seeing my brother do it at junior college, we had a really good junior college program there. We ended up winning a national championship my freshman year. So I knew I just needed a little bit more time. But it's kind of scary when you think you want to go play college ball, you think you have dreams of playing the NFL, and nobody really wants to even give you a shot out of high school. You learn a lot about yourself.
And everybody thinks what's happening with Clark Lee at Vanderbilt is really cool, right? We all love the story of Vanderbilt, right, this year. But yeah, worth a round of applause. But you actually started it with James Franklin. That's who recruited you and got you from Butte to Nashville. It was actually Bobby Johnson, right? So that's an interesting story, that how you go from California to Nashville.
Yeah, so it was 2010. Actually, it would have been the fall of 2009 when I was getting recruited. I was actually originally committed to Kansas to replace Todd Reesing with Mark Mangino. They'd gone to a couple of Orange Bowls in a row. And then that staff got fired literally the night before my recruiting visit. So I had to open up recruiting again, and I kind of had a bunch of small schools nibbling, but didn't really have any big offers. Vandy came in very late in the process. And it was kind of a point where I was like, you know what, they're not very good, and they haven't been very good at all in a long time. But I was like, if I have dreams of playing in the NFL, if I can prove that I can just be okay in the SEC, one of the best conferences, then maybe I'll have that shot. In that first year, I tore my shoulder, so I redshirted in 2010, and then James Franklin came in 2011, and we just kind of changed things there. We didn't have any big flashy recruits. I feel like we worked harder than anybody in the country. I know that gets said a lot, but I really do feel like we did. And we had a special group of players that were able to do something pretty cool, going to back-to-back bowl games for the first time ever, winning 9 games my senior year for the first time in 97 years, which is pretty cool as well.
So I want to point out, he said the first time in the history of Vanderbilt that they went to back-to-back bowls. I think you'd only been to 4 bowls.
Yeah, 4.
4 bowls in the history of their football program. You go back to back, first time 7 wins or 9 wins, 7 wins in a row in 90 years.
1915.
Yeah, and so you were doing things that had never been seen. And for those that don't know, Jordan was voted, I think it was 2022, as one of the 100 top players in the history of Vanderbilt football, which I think is worthy of a...
You know, I mean, but when we talk about how bad they've been, I don't know if that's, you know.
I mean, you guys were you beat Tennessee at home?
Totally, yeah.
You beat Kentucky?
Yeah, we had a good little run,
Yeah. So do you guys remember when Vandy played Arkansas in 2011 over in Nashville? So I almost was going to show the highlights, but I'm not going to do it. So Vandy is up 28-20, 13 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. They're on the 6-yard line getting ready to score to be up 15. Game's basically over. I mean, this was Petrino's last year when they finished the season 11-2, and he was gone after that year. And then you hand off at the 6, and Stacy, your stud running back, fumbles, and Jerry Franklin, what happens? He picks it up and runs it 96 yards. You try to chase him.
I told you I didn't get any scholarship offers because I was unathletic. I tried chasing him 97 yards, didn't catch him.
And Arkansas rallies from 14 down to where they go ahead by 3, but then you take Vandy all the way back down the field with like a minute to go, get down to the 10-yard line. All they have to do is kick a field goal to tie it up, and he misses like a 20-yard field goal. Yeah.
Well, now that you just twisted the knife, that was my second start. It was a big one, right? I mean, I remember after we talked about it last night, I pulled up some of the highlights on YouTube, and at one point we scored and they showed the student section. I think there was like 43 people there in the student section. So we were just starting to get things rolling there. So that would have been a huge one for us. And we felt like we had that game. You know, we felt like we were in control of that whole game. And then Kerry Spear, one of my best friends, he was in my wedding, the kicker that missed the 27-yarder. You know, we still give him crap about that today. But
Anita, give me a couple pictures there. I think of number 4 and number 5. This was, again, you had not gone to a bowl game. This is you, and this is the focus.
That was 2012 at Ole Miss when we became bowl eligible. We scored with like 50-something seconds left to take the lead.
And beat Ole Miss back-to-back for the first time, I think, in 50 or 60 years. And then the next one, again, was you holding up the bowl trophy. Now, we'll say this. He had more hair, a little bit more hair back then, a different hairdo back then.
Yeah, that was the awkward phase. I was like, you know what, I'm going to grow out my hair. And for about a year, it looked really bad like that.
And so you guys did something. Of course, James Franklin, everybody knows where James Franklin is now, right? Remember, Penn State. But now what Clark Lee is doing, Vandy is for real.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, you have different struggles at Vanderbilt, right? I mean, you can't just get anybody you want into school. There's still really strict academic standards there, even for athletes that come in. The facilities forever have been probably the worst in the SEC. They're starting to get those better. They put a lot of money in this last year. But it's been hard to get the type of recruits. I mean, I never walked on the field in an SEC game and felt like we were more talented than any team we played against. It just didn't happen. But that's where you had to lean on the things that I think kind of made us special, which is working hard, being a team, the culture aspect of it, which I think is so important. So we were able to win games against teams that were a lot better than us, frankly. But yeah, and Clark's done a great job, and I think what I love about what Clark has done is he started with the culture, started to try to bring back guys that wanted to be in hard situations. And I think that's, not everybody's like that. And even this, I sound like the old man yelling from his front lawn now too, but in this day and age, you know, like we can do whatever we want. I can look at whatever I want on my phone. I can feel good about myself when I'm looking at things, and I think being in tough situations is not something we're comfortable with, and this generation maybe not as comfortable with. We had a group of guys that loved it, that thrived in it, and Clark kind of started to build the foundation of that. And then last year, plugging in the transfers and Diego Pavia and the coaching staff from New Mexico State that he brought in. He brought a unique scheme, and I think they're turning things around.
Where were you? Were you in a broadcast booth when Vanderbilt beat number 1 Alabama? Where were you?
So I've been with the same crew on SEC. We do the Saturday night SEC game with Tom Hart and Cole Kubelik. But there's about 4 games every year that I do an ABC game with Joe Tess, because Jesse Palmer goes and does his bachelor stuff. He's in Thailand or the Maldives or something somewhere, so they need the other bachelor guy to fill in for him. So I was doing a game with Tess, and we had Missouri, Texas A&M, which was just a blowout, a terrible game. So I'm sitting in my hotel room. My crew did the Bama Vandy game. So I'm sitting there watching this going, oh I was supposed to be here. I texted my wife, though, after. I was like, it's probably a good thing I wasn't there, because I think I probably would have ran out of the booth and rushed the field. I probably would have rode the goalpost down Broadway, and she probably wouldn't have heard from me until Sunday night, laying in a ditch somewhere. So probably a good thing that I wasn't there, but that was fun to watch.
Anita, if you put up a slide number 2, this is the crew you've been with pretty amazingly for 8 years. So that's Cole Kubelik, the ball-headed guy on the right, Tom Hart in the middle, and you on the far right, or depends on where you're looking at
Literally since 2017. So my very first year with ESPN was 2016. I only did a couple games that year. The initial contract I signed, they're like, oh, maybe you'll do a few games. We'll do some studio. And then 2017, started with that crew and been with them ever since.
Go to the next one, Anita, number 3. So Cole is a former Auburn player. I don't know the history on Tom.
He played tight end in high school and
Gotcha.
a small college.
So I would see you guys, and sometimes I would see you in Fayetteville after a game. I mean, it's a lot of traveling. You guys spend a lot of time together. What is it like with those guys?
I think what people, whenever we talk to people, if they do like us, not everybody likes every broadcast crew, and that's okay. We're not right about everything. We like to act like we think we are. But we genuinely love each other. We genuinely like spending time around each other. I think when you listen to our broadcast, that kind of comes off. We'll get into each other every now and then. We'll bust Cole down a little bit for being the curmudgeonly old O-lineman that just wants to talk about slide protection all the time. But it's a great crew. I think Tom's one of the best play-by-play guys in the entire country. I think Cole is one of the smartest football people of anybody that's on TV. So I think we try to get in X's and O's. We try to have some fun, keep it light, but we like to talk ball. So
Interesting. So I asked him last night, would you rather do college or NFL? And you sort of felt your niche is in college ball.
Yeah, I had about an espresso shot worth of coffee in the NFL. So I didn't have any success in the NFL, which is totally fine. But I think I know a lot about the SEC. I lived in the SEC. I did something that hadn't been done in the SEC in a really long time. So I think I have a unique perspective. And I'm not, Peyton Manning or Matt Ryan that can finish their career and go talk about TV. The NFL is a different animal,
right.
And those superstars are always those are who we want to see on TV. And so I think I found a nice little niche in college football.
Yeah, I think the SEC is like the NFL of college.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's becoming that for sure.
So Chico, California, right?
Yep.
So I asked him this last night. Do you feel like you're more a Southerner or a West Coast guy now? Now, so can we share where you're living at?
Yeah.
So why don't you tell everybody where you're living at? So funny, I to arrange the travel for Jordan, I said, I thought he was coming in from Charlotte, where the SEC network is, or maybe he's living in Dallas. That's where JoJo, I think it's, JoJo from The Bachelorette lives. He goes, no, I'm flying back to PR. I said, PR? You might want to take a guess? So you're living in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, we do. So middle of COVID, 2020, we were living in Dallas. Joe's from Dallas. And I was living in Nashville when we got together, and then I moved to Dallas. So we were there from 2016 to 2020. And both her brothers had moved down to Puerto Rico. And so we'd visited every now and then. And we were just kind of right before football season of 2020. We were like, a lot of our friends had kind of moved out of Dallas, and I was like, hey, why don't we just go rent a place month to month? I'm gone 4 or 5 days a week anyway, so you can spend some time around family during football season. We'll see if we like it. We got down there a month. We sold our place in Dallas. We bought a place down there that we had to gut and renovate. It took 2 years to do it, but so we've been down there ever since.
So I don't watch The Bachelorette or Bachelor, but
oh, come on.
I don't.
Trust me, that's what every guy says every time. Every stadium I'm walking through, say, hey, can I get a picture for my wife? I don't watch it, I swear. Come on.
One of the big questions that we were asked by some of the ladies here with our Touchdown Club is JoJo coming? So when you finish up your pro career, how in the heck did you wind up involved with the whole Bachelorette deal?
It's wild. So all you that are fans of it, they do casting in a bunch of different cities all over the country, and you could submit people to go on the show. I had never watched it. I was aware of it. I think I had like a girlfriend at one point that watched it, but I'd never honestly sat down and watched this reality show. So I'm training quarterbacks in Nashville, doing combine prep training for quarterbacks, working at D1 there, D1 training facility. And I just hired an agent because, like I was talking, I just started doing radio, and I was like, I kind of want to do TV. So I hired an agent to see if I could get some opportunities. And my agent calls me one day, and they're like, hey, Fox is doing a dating show, and they're looking for ex-athletes. Can I throw your name in the hat? I'm like, sure. I'm single. Awesome. So a couple weeks goes by, and she calls me back, and we're talking about something completely different. I'm like, hey, did Fox ever follow up? And they're like, oh, they went with someone else. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. But as it so happens, a producer on that show was married to one of the producers on The Bachelorette. And so back to the casting, I wasn't a part of any of the casting. Wasn't even on my radar. The show starts filming like second weekend of March. I get a call on March 1st from a guy who he was at my wedding, Bennett. He's a producer with The Bachelor. He goes, hey, somehow someone passed along your number and was like, here's what I do. Have you ever heard of the show? I'm like, yeah, I've heard of the show. He goes, well, are you single? I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, I got a great girl. I'm not sure if you're interested. We start filming in like a week. And I'm like, it's like, how long are we talking here? He's like, well, could be a week or two, could be a little bit longer. Just depends. I'm like, sure, I'll give it a try. I can not train quarterbacks for a couple weeks. I had a little flexibility. So I fly out to LA, and what you guys don't know is that no one knows who, I didn't know it was going to be JoJo. Had no idea. So I fly to LA, crash at my buddy's house the night before we check into the hotel and you get locked down. He's like, hey, we should watch it, right? And I'm like, sure, yeah. I don't even know who these girls are, right? So we watch it, and it's down to, I think, 2 or 3, and everyone thought it was going to be this other girl named Kayla. And I'm watching and going, man, that JoJo girl's kind of cute. It's a bummer. I was like, it's too bad it's not her, But I was like, whatever. I signed up for this thing. Kayla seems like a really sweet, amazing girl. She's cute as well. I was like, well, just go do it. So I sign up, do it, and then I'm locked in a hotel room with no phone, and they announce that it's her. I'm like, yes. And then it's me and 25 other dudes in a mansion dating my future wife. It's kind of weird.
So I was wondering, you just
really weird.
You just had a successful college career and played in the pros. When you went into that, you got 25 other dudes. Was your attitude like, I'm here to win?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it was. You're here to win,
yeah.
and
but also, I think I probably had a little benefit from being in a lot. I'm used to being around 20-something dudes that are good-looking, athletic. So I think it was a little less intimidating for me, and I found out really early on that everybody was really over-anxious to spend time with her and stuff. And I was like, you know what? I keep noticing that whoever talks to her last gets a little extra time. So I just kind of started sitting back and letting everybody go chase after her, and I just waited till the end and would get a little extra time with her. Of course, she thought that meant I wasn't into her, and that was a whole other thing. If you guys watched it, they tried to play that up big time. But it's a crazy experience. They literally not lock you, but you are in a mansion or you're in a hotel room. You don't have your phone the entire time. There's no TV. There's no internet. You don't do anything except for try to find a wife, I guess.
And you were getting calls and texts. Were you getting that kind of feedback from people that were watching the show a little bit later as it would air?
Oh,
so
yeah.
Was that sort of crazy, the feedback you were getting?
Yeah, it's real weird to have your parents watch you make out with a girl on TV. There's no way to dance around it. It's just a little weird.
So it came down to obviously you got to the end and you were the one. And you were sharing with me last night about the proposal deal. Tell me how that went down.
So this is a great story. All you that have watched it, so when it gets down to 2, you meet her family, right? And so they flew JoJo's entire family out to Thailand. And at that point, the producers are really pumping you up. They're like, okay, you have to ask her dad for her hand in marriage. And I'm like, I'm just meeting this guy. What do you mean? He doesn't know me. There's still another dude. I can't ask this guy if I can marry his daughter. So I didn't. And that was a whole thing because you're supposed to do that. So I didn't. And I told him, hey, I have strong feelings for your daughter. I could see a future, but I didn't know if I was going to propose at that point. So a little bit later, I decide that I think I'm probably going to propose. I think that's something I want to do. So I go to one of our producers and I'm like, hey, can I call her parents? Can I talk to them? And this will give you a little insight on the show. They're like, no, you missed your chance. And I'm like, oh, I did. So this is the stubborn version of me. I was like, nah, that's not going to happen. So I called in the producers, was like, here's what's going to happen. I need to talk to her parents or I'm going to leave. And you can film the show with a guy I think she doesn't want. There was my little cocky athlete coming out in me. I'm like, yeah, you film it with a guy she's not going to pick. So they ended up letting me call her parents. But the whole proposal thing's interesting because all you that watch it, it's always the sunset, beautiful shot right on the beach. So that day, the day of the proposal, you get in your suit at noon, and you're in it for hours, just sitting around waiting, doing nothing. And I just kept looking at the sun because I'm like, like, keep going down. You know, I didn't want to be the first one because I knew whoever went first, whoever left the hotel first, you were going to get dumped. So they call me for my car, and I'm like, it's like 4 o'clock. I'm like, I'm screwed. It's not me, right? So we get over to the beach, and then they hold me for like an hour. I'm like, okay, we're getting a little closer. And then I make the long walk up to JoJo. She's looking amazing. Got the ring in my too tight pants pocket. Someone should have told me I shouldn't have had my pants so skinny too. But the funny part about the proposal was, and we were talking about this just earlier, is I go through my little spiel, and then I'm about to get on a knee, and she goes, wait. And I'm like, you idiot. How did you not realize it wasn't going to be you? You know, I totally thought she was stopping me to break up with me. And then she just goes, I want to make sure you know how I feel before you do this. And then I proposed, and that was in front of millions of people.
It was.
Another thing that's kind of weird.
If you don't mind, Anita, would you show us a picture 6, 7, and 8 real quick, just for everybody sort of to see what he was talking about? That's the day of the proposal.
Look how sweaty. No, it was like this is in Thailand. It was like 116 degrees. I mean, she had to stand out there in that dress for like 3 hours. I mean, we are just sweaty mess.
Show us the next one, Anita. This is actually that. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's the proposal.
And let's go to the next
Also,
one.
look at that hair. I hadn't had a haircut. You know, there's not many barbers in Thailand that knew how to deal with that. So the hair was.
And from there, let's go. So is this next one People Magazine starts picking up? So
oh yeah,
this is part of the machine, right? That's
yeah.
the machine of the Bachelorette. Go to the next one. But what's neat about your story is that you wanted to go back and make it real.
Yes, yeah. So the proposal, you know, you get to pick your ring. They give you like 4 or 5 options, but really they're all kind of different. So I didn't really get to have my choice of the one I would have picked. It's a beautiful ring. But I knew eventually I wanted to do it without the cameras and without the craziness. I wanted to buy my own ring, ask her parents, not over the phone. So yeah, it was, and we were actually very honest. Like the first year was horrible. It was hard. You know, you go through just getting to know each other, literally. I mean, as much as you're engaged and as much as we knew we were with someone that we could see ourselves marrying, you still just don't know each other. So that first year, you're living together. You got a spotlight. We got paparazzi out, you know, out of the house. If I'm in a bad mood at the grocery store, it was on the magazine somewhere. You know what I mean? Like it was just crazy. So the first year was very up and down for us. And so we got to the end of that first year and really had kind of like a fork in the road, come to Jesus moment where we just sat down with each other. We're like, hey, we love each other, but we need to decide if this is something that we really want to lean into and go this direction, or if we love each other and maybe we're not right for each other. We decided the path that we're on now. Obviously, we decided to lean in and make it work. And so about a year after that, I was like, I kind of want to do the proposal on my terms. So bought a ring and did the whole proposal like a normal human being. And I was probably more nervous for that one than with cameras everywhere. But yeah, so that was 2019 when I re-proposed. We tried to get married in 2020, but COVID kind of shut everything down, so we ended up getting married in 2022.
Pretty amazing story of the Bachelorette that works. It works. So did that help? Do you think that helps your brand, or it did for a while? Did that help the Jordan Rodgers brand, you think?
Yeah, you know, it was funny. It can either go one way or another. And so one of the calls that I was not able to get, I had already done an audition with ESPN. I'd done an audition with Fox. And then I went and did the Bachelorette, and I got a call. My agent was like blowing up because I don't have a phone. And finally a producer comes to me, he's like, hey, I think your agent has been blowing us all up. And so SEC Network wanted to bring me back in and talk about hiring me. And so I'm literally on speakerphone because they wouldn't let me just have a private conversation. I had to be on speakerphone in front of a producer. And at the time, one of our bosses was like, well, we're going to kind of have to see how this goes, you know, because we don't want you to look like an idiot and then try to hire you. So I actually flew back from Thailand. In that photo where I'm way too tan, that's a real tan. We were in Thailand for 3 weeks. I flew back from Thailand to do my audition, my next audition with SEC Network. My bags went somewhere completely different, so I didn't have a tie. I had a loose collared shirt and a little sports jacket and no haircut, or my hair was long and I was tan, and did the audition. And then they said, well, we were gonna offer you, but we're gonna wait and see. We're gonna wait and see how you look.
Wow, that's what it was.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay, I think it's gonna go fine. You know what I mean? I didn't look like an idiot. It went well for me. So that was kind of it was a little bit of a nervous period, though. I was like, okay, like, of course this helps, but it also could hurt. And so I think I was proud that I didn't do anything too stupid.
If you've heard Jordan on his doing analyst work for SEC Network or ESPN, I mean, you know your stuff.
Yeah.
I do think it's amazing, the game of football. We're talking about these young folks behind us and what a great game it is and what it can build. We got coaches here. All these folks here are here because we love the game of football.
Yeah.
And I know your parents raised you, that you and your brothers played ball, and pretty amazing that how the game of football can take you places.
And what's crazy, the way life goes, like, if the coaching staff at Kansas wouldn't have got fired, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be working for SEC Network. I wouldn't. None of this would. I wouldn't have gone on The Bachelor. You know, my life would have just taken this completely different path. But to that point, I think football and sports in general just teach you everything you need to know about life. I mentioned the sportsmanship thing because I think it's so important that I think you'll be judged in life by how you handle adversity and by how you treat people. And I think those two things are magnified in sports because you're always going to be in adversity. How do you handle that? How do you treat people in adversity? How do you treat people when you have success? So I think everything about sports has kind of made me open doors, like I said, for opportunities that I've wanted to achieve in life, but also just kind of taught me how to handle life and tough situations.
And I think all these honorees here today, you know, they're ahead of the game.
Totally.
You guys and girls don't know it yet, but the decisions they're making today, I know this, when I was a 16-year-old senior, I was deciding to come to the University of Arkansas, change my life. So all the decisions that you're making right now, you may not think it has an influence on your life, but it does.
Totally.
Listen, I'm here 40, 50 years later because of the decisions I made when I was 16. So the memory, the lesson in that is that the things you're doing now, all the right decisions they're making, the sacrifices maybe not to go with the crowd and be their own person makes a difference in the long run.
And you never know that one person that you encounter. Kind of back to the casting part of The Bachelorette, I had ran into, unbeknownst to me, a casting agent at a bar when I was with my buddies, and I had just been very, very nice to someone that was supposedly just a friend of a friend. And if I'd probably been kind of a jerk, probably wouldn't have passed my name along to producers and probably wouldn't have had a chance to be on the show. But I think you never know that one interaction you have with someone and how that can affect opportunities you have, how it affects their life, how they feel about themselves. I try to live that as much as possible in this craziness of being on TV.
Yeah, I think what you heard, all the things we said today about these, by the way, I see Double R, Randy Rainwater out there, is that all the things we said about these young people are the keys to being successful in life. You know, all the things you folks are doing, you may not think it's a big deal, but it's the key to being successful. And I love the fact that all these coaches pick these folks to recognize and to say, you're doing the right thing. Sometimes you may not get the recognition. Sometimes you're going through tough times, but you may be sitting up here 20 years. You may be the next Merritt Dyke, who's super successful as a businessman. You may be Rex Nelson. You may be a pastor, but all the things you're doing are the right things now, and that leads to success 10, 20, 30 years later.
Yeah, I think about it too, because at one point I either wanted to get into TV or coach. And the relationships you have with your coaches now, how they just perceive that you handle your role. You know, I heard on that first one in, last one out. How do you handle your preparation? How do you handle your teammates? How do you lead with your teammates? Like, those are the type of people that coaches want to hire to be coaches. Not necessarily because you threw for 30, 40 touchdowns, because you were the best player on the team. It was, how do you interact with people? How do you teach people? How do you handle adversity? How do you prepare? So yeah, those are lessons that I learned kind of at the point where I was trying to figure out whether I wanted to do TV, do coaching, whatever.
Well, it's interesting. We had Greg McElroy, as I mentioned, who I think we've had Kirk Herbstreit. To me, they're two of the finest guys in the country. If you listen to this guy, he's right there with them. So it won't be long before he's right up there we'll take this bachelor from instead of Jesse Palmer.
He's pretty good
No,
too. He's really good.
Jesse's
awesome.
Jesse is good, but
that man does more than he's got cooking shows. He's
got.
got.
So, are you any cooking shows for you?
I don't have cooking shows. We do home renovations as well, me and my wife. So
Is that right?
I tell you what, that's the funniest thing. You know, people always say, like, what's the quickest way to break up a relationship is to renovate a home together. Well, we met on TV, and then we renovated homes together, and somehow we made it through that.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you want me to more class act than Jordan Rodgers, and I think let's give another standing ovation to our Ken Hatfield Sportsmanship Award winners. Thank you, everybody. It's been a great Touchdown Club season. Thanks, Jordan Rodgers. Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for being here, everybody. See you next year.